Squash Centre Invitational PSA 2020 semi-final match. LWAMBA Chileshe to serve, Elijah Thomas to receive. Best of 5 games. Love all.
Squash XLPRO is an elite team that work hard to train, play and run squash events on our journey to climb the world rankings. Like, subscribe, comment, pick up some of our merch on Teespring.
And now underway with this, the first semi-final of the National Squash Centre Invitational, the PSA Satellite Tournament. And joining me on the comms today for this particular match between Elijah Thomas in the green and LWAMBA Chileshe, the white shirt, it's Sean Wigan. And Sean, you've just come off the court from your match. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Defeating Glenn Templeton. And got to ask one thing, you must be tired. The amount of running that you did. And at one stage I saw you run round Glenn Templeton, which isn't easy, a couple of times in one point. I'm going to ask you a bit later on about your fitness regime, but how are you feeling after that victory?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty tired after that one. Of course, had a very tough one with Temwa yesterday as well, so having to back it up with another tough game against Glenn. I had lost to him the last 2 times we played at the start of the year, so it's good to get a win against him this time.
Well then, as we look at this particular game, these two players, Elijah Thomas has improved a huge amount over the past year, hasn't he? And then we haven't really seen LWAMBA play that much in New Zealand since, I guess, last year, been up in the UK. But, you know, to get his ranking up to 148, he's got to have something going for him at the moment. And what are you expecting?
Yeah, I've been heading with Elijah a little bit this year, and he's certainly been working very hard to improve his game. Had a really good start to the year before COVID sort of stopped that good run, but he's certainly come out of blocks very well already with a good win yesterday. And then, yeah, Louis been working very hard in UK, again because of COVID had to come back, unfortunately, but he's improved so much over the last few years. It's amazing what he's been able to do in his game.
Ooh, that one just seemed to come off the back wall and the side wall a little bit awkwardly for Elijah. It's not often that you actually see someone like Elijah or anybody miss the ball completely.
Well, that happened to me yesterday.
Yeah.
I completely mistimed the ball, so I guess that's what happens with these courts. Sometimes the bounce can be very interesting and can mistime it. So.
Because we are mid-afternoon, it's been a nice day in Auckland. Is the speed different to, say, yesterday when you were playing a little bit later?
Yeah, well, the ball's certainly bouncing a lot more now as we start to get much hotter temperatures in Auckland, so the ball will start to bounce a lot more. And these two love to keep the rallies going. They very much both like to control their shots, so you'll see a lot of long rallies between these two, as you can see so far. They'll just keep the ball going, and I think the key for Elijah in this game today is how he uses his short game.
Well, we're just talking about the temperature, and the national champs are going to be in just over a month's time at the North Shore Club, a club which can get quite warm around its 2 main central courts. So we think about, say, end of October, beginning November, it can be pretty humid in Auckland. Yeah,
well, North Shore's my club, so I definitely know what it's like to play in hot temperatures there. I played a tournament there at the start of the year in February, and it was...
Was that the Auckland champs, wasn't it?
Oh, and there was one before that as well, and it can get really humid when the sun comes out, and the ball starts to fly a lot more, and you can get very hot very quickly. So it's how you handle the temperatures in those conditions.
And particularly with a few people in as well, a few players, it's only going to be the top grade, but there's still going to be spectators and players around. That'll really help heat it up.
Yeah, and what will be really good is there's so many really good upcoming players as well, which will make it really interesting. It's going to be who can handle the conditions the best when it comes.
Well, how do you feel with Paul Cole not going to take part? And there's been one of the main winners of the national champs for the last few years. Creates an opportunity, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It gives someone else the opportunity to win the national champs. It's of course a great accolade to take out. So whoever can achieve that we'll find out as a very good honour for them to take it out. Because again, it's going to be a tough field on the courts.
I guess it just makes things a little bit more even, that no one's sort of standing out. When you get Paul in there, where he stands out a long way ahead of everybody else, but this year it's going to be quite condensed.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's been everyone around. There've been so many close matches. Like yesterday, there was 2 5-setters. There was a very close 4 as well, and there's many other good players around in New Zealand as well that are capable of taking it out as well. So it's going to be a really tight field. That's a very nice shot there.
All right, so no one quite grabbing the lead so far. Let's see what LWAMBA CHILESHE can do here. Yeah, a bit of a problem for some of the players with under 19 having to wear the goggles and a lot of perspiration. They're constantly having to, I guess, wipe them clean or wipe them free of sweat. Oh, that's a nice shot. Oh. And not quite coming off.
Yeah, it's very hard when you've got to wear the goggles. You've got to sort of stop and start sometimes when the moisture on the glasses start to fade a bit, and then you've got to wipe it on your shirt. So it just makes it slightly harder to look. So I was pretty happy when I got out of juniors. I didn't have to wear goggles anymore, but
it tends that a lot of people, a lot of players, once they get out, they don't want to wear them again.
Yeah, that's pretty much everyone. Most of the time, it's just a hazard for them to have to keep wiping every few points. And it's really annoying when you come back on the court because you've just had a bit of a break and then the goggles start to...
They don't steam up, do they?
Yeah, they get really steamy in the lenses, so then you've got to wipe it even more. So it takes a lot of time and energy just to sort it out.
All right, well, it's looking here at this rally.
Yeah, Louis controlling the ball very well. Just making Elijah do a little bit extra work. It's a nice shot there, though.
So we're not going to see the short rallies that we saw with your game against Glen Templeton. There were some short rallies in there. We're probably not going to see too much of that. I mean, these guys can hit winners, but they're going to hang around. They're going to force the...
Well, certainly it's sort of like everyone has different styles. So Glenn likes to really get onto the volley, likes to cut the ball off and try and take it early. And then when I'm on my game, I can really take it early as well and cut it off. Try and get my short game going. But for these two, they'll just like to keep the rallies going. So, yeah, as you say, there'll be a lot more longer rallies here as we've seen so far.
And we know that we're going to see that as well in the next game where you have Tenwa Chilesi up against Joe Larscott. Those guys have played, I think, this year at least 1,000 times. And they like to really drive themselves into the point and into the rally. Nice.
Yeah, it was like that with my game with Tenwa yesterday. We just kept trying to really get on the attack, try and take it early, and it just made their pace much faster than what maybe some of the other games have been like. So this one is maybe just a tad slow, which will suit both of these players.
Down the side each time. Oh, and then they just flick across.
And a rare mistake there from Louis there. Doesn't make too many mistakes on the court.
Would it be that after so many shots, he just wants to try and speed it up to get that point over a little bit quicker, and maybe just pushed it a bit too much, tried for a little bit too much?
Yeah, well, Elijah gets to so many balls. He's certainly one of the fittest players out there on the court. He'll go. He could do a marathon, still have a bit of energy, so he'll just keep going. It's how you move him around, which like that was a very nice post there. Just held it, got him on the wrong foot and took advantage of it.
Well, one of the things with Elijah is that people don't realise that he's not actually going to turn 18 until November. He seems to, I don't know, be a lot older than that, or certainly the experience he's got.
Well, I remembered watching him first time back in my last year of junior nationals. I remembered him in the under-11 final. He actually played Leo, who, again, those two have had so many massive matches over the years. And I remember just watching Elijah just battle his way through every single ball, because Leo, again, you know, he likes to
play the shots. So
you just saw these two amazing styles, and you could just tell that he's going to be a hard worker growing up, and you can see what he's become now. He just keeps those rallies going.
Well, the other thing, flipped it around his body there. The other thing about Elijah is that in the last year, he's grown a lot taller, you know, and physically a lot stronger. He was, I won't say scrawny at all before, but he's certainly filled out.
Yeah, you can see he's certainly
stayed in.
Use his height a lot more now, lunging to the ball, able to. That's a nice dive there.
Yeah, it was a nice dive, but he was. No matter where he got it back, Lwamba was in the position to actually win the point, wasn't he?
Yeah, and that's so far been the difference in this game. Lwamba just controlling.
I mean, you can see
making
2 points.
Yeah,
that's
just
it.
making Elijah move that extra bit. So Elijah needs to just find a way to get in front of Louis to take advantage of.
Have a look here on the replay. And
so like that both there, maybe not the right shot there.
Well, he was moving to the right, to the forehand side, then realised that Louis had put a drop to the backhand, had to really stretch for it, and ended up in a bit of a dive.
Yeah.
But Louis in a good position to put the forehand away and win the point. I think the other thing that people probably don't realise is that squash, once you get to a certain level, becomes quite physical. And even someone like Paul Cole, you know, the Egyptians are going to block you and where they can legally and things like that. Not just the Egyptians, but all the players. You're going to run into your opposition a little bit. You're going to have to stop and start. And it's, you know, it's a non-contact sport. There's contact, isn't there?
Yeah.
I mean, where you can get away with it, and I won't say away with it, but where you can get around things is by being so quick. You know, you're not really the biggest player out there, particularly against someone like Templeton. But you're so quick that you can move around. Yeah,
well, I know I'm not, as you say, I'm not the tallest guy out there, so I've got to learn to get around him, because once I start to, I wouldn't say they'll start to get into a blocking game, but they'll start to take advantage of trying to get in front of me. So sometimes what I'll just have to do is try and get around them to get in front, because I like to keep the pace going rather than stop-start. And you'll get some of them sort of doing it more as a tactic rather than so may give them that extra time just to catch a breath.
Yeah. Oh. Ooh. He really was. He didn't quite have to force that one. He was in the rally. He'd got. And now 1 game to love. It is Lwamba Chileshe over Elijah Thomas. This is one of the semi-finals. The men's draw of this, the National Squash Centre Invitational. It is a PSA satellite tournament. There's prize money and also the very valuable PSA ranking points, because there hasn't been any tournaments since, when was it, Sean, about March?
Yeah, I think the Auckland Open was the last, maybe one. Yeah, there was one maybe after, that was in March. Definitely just before the lockdown started.
Yeah, so it's been a long time coming for players like yourself to actually get out there and play a tournament that actually has ranking points on it. There's been a few localised tournaments, but to have ranking points is a key, isn't it? It puts something, a bit more pressure on you, doesn't it?
Yeah, and especially for the upcoming players like Elijah, Temba, those guys, they'll be very pleased to be able to play these sort of tournaments, so then they can get their, get their ranking points up, especially if they have a very good result.
And also for the national junior champs next week, or starting on Friday, and then a few weeks later we have the senior nationals. There's also a doubles nationals as well in between there, where Lwamba's been turned down 3 times from mixed doubles partners, which you've got to find quite ironic. And over the top there, but yeah, just when you get your top domestic player or one of your top players domestically turned down for mixed doubles 3 times. Oh dear, tell you what, if I was a young junior player, I'd be saying, yeah, I'll go for it.
Maybe they already had a partner and they can't say no now.
Found someone better. Well, hopefully he's better.
Well, doubles is different, like in any sport. Doubles is different to singles, got different tactics involved.
Yeah, it's where Amanda Landers-Murphy was so good in the women's doubles final at the Commonwealth Games with Joelle King. She really took charge of the final, and it's a great match to be at and watch, because Joelle King was exhausted from playing in so many different matches. She won 3 medals, and
it also helps them as well having Glenn Wilson as a coach as well, who's of course also a Commonwealth Game gold medalist as well. So he's certainly got the experience as well, and New Zealand's certainly one of the stronger doubles teams out there.
I think it's just the whole thing of playing with your mates. You know, a lot of top players are individuals. Yeah, they're great individuals, but playing with your mate, and Amanda being the left-hander and being able to play such good shots across the court. But Joelle also, oh, that's a nice little pick-up.
Yeah, Lou just getting in the way there.
Yeah.
Just
polite question of the officials. And yeah, question.
Yeah, I would probably give it a stroke as well. I think he just went the wrong line out away and just accidentally went the wrong line that Elijah was following. So a bit unlucky, but it's probably the right call there. Elijah definitely going for shots a little bit more in this game.
Tell me, Sean, do you like in the big PSA tournaments, we've had the Manchester Open just recently, where you can have a call and look up at the screen, and you know, you've got a couple of times you can actually say, I'd like to see a replay of that, or the officials get to see a replay? No, you haven't, you're not a big fan of...
I think it's all right just to see the line. Sometimes it's hard to, when you're on the court, to see what actually happened, because you don't know where your opponent behind you is.
Yeah.
Like sometimes they could be much closer than you think or much further away. You sort of understand some of the decisions. Like I remember playing Glenn just before, maybe a few times he got a lot closer than I was expecting to see him, and I probably didn't quite execute the next shot quite as well.
Oh. The other thing is that a couple of times here, and it certainly happened with Paul Cole in his, I think it was his quarterfinal in Manchester, where players will ask for a let after they've played a few more shots. And really, the officials have to say to you, well, look, you've already carried on. You should have just said, hey, or at least put your finger up. And, you know.
Well, I like it when you actually shout out to say a let, which is what I like to do, just call it, and then that makes it much easier for the
it
makes it easy for them to make a decision. If you're sort of hesitating and then stopping, starting, and then having just...
Yeah, Elijah was just a bit mixed up in that point. He, I think from the word go, he was frustrated. He wasn't quite too sure where he was going, and you can see that...
This is where he just needs to maybe just take his time a little bit. He had a call not go his way and just got a bit frustrated with his movement there. So just needs to sort of take his time here, because this is a very important point for him. He was up for a while in this game, and then Lwamba's come back and taken the control again, so he just needs to...
A little bit of steadiness.
Yeah. Just a few short balls there from Elijah. That's a better one there.
Ooh, just hit underneath the line. Long rally.
Yeah. Elijah scrambling to all the...
He's got himself back in now. What can he do here?
Nice lop there. Oh, that's a great rally there.
Oh. I don't know how many shots it was, but it certainly seemed a lot. And a lot of variety. You would think that Louis, with his lob right into the corner, would have helped him out. He's set himself into a position. But Elijah just coming through nicely with a little touch.
Well, if there's one thing that Lwamba probably needs to work on with his game, is just taking advantage of those really nice opportunities. He sort of set himself up very well there. And just making sure he picks the right option here, maybe mixing up the pace, taking it maybe slightly earlier. Bit short there again from Elijah. Yeah, that was just a little bit too short there from Elijah. Lwamba took advantage of that.
So Elijah Thomas just pulling himself back into this game a little bit, but then dropping a couple of points again. And another one there, relatively easy.
Yeah, again, decision didn't quite go his way, and then...
I think if he does lose this point, it's... This game, the score line was actually a lot closer than C's.
And this is a good learning curve for him when he's had a few calls not go his way in this game. It's how you learn from those experiences. Every time he's had a back call go his way, he sort of followed up with a pretty unnecessary 10.
Yeah.
Maybe just...
And a change of shirt for Elijah Thomas from the green to the blue. It is warm on court. And Sean Wigan, you must have found it pretty warm. You had a straight game, although there was a lot of running. You found it pretty warm on court?
Yeah, I was. If it went 4 games, I would have probably changed my shirt. Usually, in this sort of stage of the year, I would have to change them at least once a game, and then when it gets hotter, possibly twice.
Well, we did have a query from one of our stream men here. He said, what are they doing on the wall? And we just explained about how much perspiration, how much sweat. Yeah, because I mean, I guess once you get such a sweaty shirt, well, you can't wipe your hand anywhere else. It's just putting the sweat back on it. Yeah,
well, when you're running around on the court, especially on the hand you're playing with, it can get really sweaty, and the moisture can go onto the grip. So to avoid the grip starting to
lose your grip.
Yeah, when you start to lose your grip, you start to wipe more on the walls, so then you can just get some of that out.
What's the warmest place or warmest time that you can recall that you've played in that's just made it almost unbearable in some courts? Because a lot of courts in New Zealand are lower down, aren't they?
So in 2014, when I was 18 went to the Oceania Junior Champs in the Gold Coast in January. And that was, I think, in the high 30s. It was just,
humidity, though, would have been really
it
tough
was
there.
probably the hottest I've ever played at.
Yeah, that would have been the old courts, I think, as well on the Gold Coast. And yeah, probably not that well ventilated either.
No, it didn't. You could just walk into the, court and you're almost having to change shirts straight away. You walk on the court and you have to change shirts straight away. It was that bad.
Right, well, we should just let people know about another match which has been played, just completed, in fact, between two rivals. Formerly from the same club, from Belmont Rackets Club, but Natalie says has just moved to Remuera, and a 5-game victory over LLASH, and certainly a very lengthy one. It was won 11-8 in the 5th, but the 4th game was won by LLASH 14-12. So those two players really having a battle in one of the women's matches that was on the second court.
Yeah, sort of grew up playing each other a lot.
Yeah.
Usually Natalie's had the upper hand.
This one was tough.
So it's a very good effort there from Ella to come that close. I don't think she's come that close that often to Natalie, so she'll be pretty happy how she played today.
I think the other thing with Ella is that she's grown in the last 6 months. She's really had a growth spurt, got a lot taller as well. I don't know whether that's, height doesn't necessarily matter all the time, but she's certainly grown. Both of them are, I think Ella's 14 and Natalie's 15 or thereabouts anyway. So two young players for New Zealand for the future. And just back to this contest here. And it has been a 4-love lead for Elijah Thomas, but now 2 points back for Louis Chileshe.
Yeah, Elijah coming out of blocks very quickly in this game. Similar to the second, had a good start. Now it's just how if he can keep that momentum going, because Lwamba won't give it to him easy. You have to work hard to get this game.
And even though he had the 4-love, it's just play 1 point. Oh, that ball just...
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah.
Nice shot there from Lwamba. It was very hard to get back.
Yeah, just play 1 point at a time. Don't worry about, oh, it's I'm 2 ahead, 1 ahead, or anything like that. Just each point.
And one of the big difference so far I've seen in this game is Lwamba showing a little bit more experience as well. Elijah, of course, still
17.
Learning a lot in his game. You can just tell Lwamba just has a little bit, just showing a bit more smartness on the court, just when he needs to, knows when to pull it back, just get the consistency going again, then knows when to pounce. So when he was down 4-love, he knew he just went back to basics and then was able to close the gap there. Now it's how Elijah handles that again.
Well, the 4 years difference is quite a lot at this age, isn't it? From 17 to 21 is quite a lot when it comes to experience playing. The other factor is that Louis this year, or earlier this year, pre-COVID, played at least 2, maybe 3 challenger tournaments up in the US, where it was, I think, a 35,000 challenger, a 10 or something like that. Played about 2 or 3 of those, where he was around players again in the top 100. I think he played the American number 2 or number 3, something like that, or in the 35,000 tournament. Even if you're not winning matches, you're playing against those players all the time, practicing with all the time, top 100 players. Late last year, he was in the New Zealand team, which finished 5th at the World Teams Champs. Obviously had Paul Cole, Campbell Grayson and Evan Williams, and again, practicing, training, playing. That just adds something more to your game, doesn't it?
Yeah, and of course, Lwamba as well is always keen to learn as well, always learning something different wherever he goes to, whether it's in UK or America or even here. And you're just seeing Lwamba taking control of this rally, making Elijah have to work a little bit harder.
Oh, nice. Did he pick it up? He did pick it up. So fought his way back from 3-5 down to 5-all. And there we have it, the goggles problem, stemming up.
Yeah, it was a good idea as well for Elijah, just to take his time a bit. So that was, so Elijah there, maybe got a bit of luck there with the racket. So this is the important stage now, 6-all. This is where Lwamba will put a lot of pressure on, expect. As you can see, he's just now taking it a little bit earlier.
7-6.
And also trying to speed it up in between, whereas Elijah's
Yeah.
trying to slow it down in between. And Louis wants to get on with it. Nice.
8-6.
Again, Elijah taking his time here, Lwamba wanting to
Really.
keep the play going.
So far, I feel that the scoreline doesn't quite show the closeness in this match completely. To me, it's been Louis winning by 3 points. It's just been that 3 points better, or that 3 shots better that has won him the contest so far.
Yeah, and you can see how,
Oh, and that's something he shouldn't really
yeah,
miss.
and that's how what Louis would have learned when he was overseas. He would have known when to put the pressure on, go on the attack, and knew when to just slow it down a bit. So he's speeded it up, and Elijah hasn't been able to handle it. So from 6-all, it's suddenly, all of a sudden it's 10-6, and now the pressure's right on him now, and that just shows how much Lwamba's improved with his game.
And up to match point. Oh,
11-6.
wasn't quite the way he wanted to finish there. It was a little bit of a, I wouldn't say a lame shot, but just one of those shots that, you know, if you want to lose a match, you want to lose it going under blazing glory. That was not it.
Yeah.